What's going on, everyone? Jack here from Halfchrome. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to walk through the DJI Fly app on the Mini 2. Now, before you fly this drone, you really need to be familiar with the Fly app. Now, it's a little bit different, actually. Some different menus, some different options, some different things on the Mini 2 than even the original Mini or the Mavic Air 2. So we're going to walk through the app, go through some of the menus, talk about some of the different quick shots and flight modes, video and photo settings, so that you are ready to go when you start flying your new Mini 2. All right, before we get started, just keep in mind some of these settings you can only do while the drone is in the air, specifically the quick shots. And if while you're watching this video you decide, hey, you know what, this Mini 2 is for me, we've got links in the description below. They're affiliate links. That's how we support this channel. It doesn't cost you a thing, but it helps us out. So if you've just made your decision, go ahead and click one of those links. We've also done a whole lot of other videos on the Mini, how it compares to the Mavic Air 2, how it compares to the original Mavic Mini, and flight tests, range tests, video tests, all sorts of things. So if you haven't already, check out that playlist on the Mini 2 for more information on this drone. All right, let's get into that app.
Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is tap those three dots in the upper right-hand corner, and we're going to look at the menu, starting with the safety menu. All right, max altitude, max distance, how high is your return to home altitude if you need to update your home point. We can check your battery info, right? That's definitely good information to have. As we kind of look at some other things, unlock geozones, that's not really something you're going to probably deal with. Advanced safety settings is a good one to look at. You know, what do you do if it signal's lost? You definitely want to return home. How do you stop the propellers in case of an emergency? In payload mode, right? If you're going to pick something up, you know, we put a camera on ours, or, you know, if you have propeller guards, you're going to want to do that. There's also remote identification information. You know, that is, you know, that's for the FAA. That may be coming soon. And then the Find My Drone, right? So if you lose your drone, you can find it. It'll pull it up on a map. So super important. Under control, you know, the first thing that's new is this front LED color. You can change the color of the front LED. That's kind of neat. We'll take a look at that. But you just kind of choose the color that you want it to have. And then the pattern in which it, you know, it changes. Like, I think this rainbow is actually kind of neat, where it'll just kind of cycle through the different colors. You can have it just to stay on all the time, which is solid. Breathing just kind of goes in and out, or disable if you don't want it on. But yeah, you can see the different colors that you have the options for. But I think the rainbow is actually kind of my favorite because you get a few extra options. So looking back in the control menu, the gimbal mode, the FPV mode, where the drone will actually tilt, kind of like an FPV drone, which is kind of neat if you do that. I like that. It's a different sort of look, kind of gives a different feel, whereas follow mode is pretty standard where, you know, the gimbal will not rotate side to side. Allow upward gimbal rotation. That's a good one. We can adjust the gimbal settings as well. You know, how fast will it move in different settings, right? Sport, Cine, and whatnot. I like to make sure my phone charging is on, and that way, you know, my phone is connected, it'll charge, right? Which is awesome. This remote has a nice big battery. And then stick mode 2 is definitely what you want. Another useful feature is the button customization. You have that function button on the left, and you can set it to center the gimbal with one tap or two. I like with one. And then double tap brings up your map versus your live view. So when I click on the button, it looks down. I click on it again, it looks right back up. That's super useful to make sure that you're looking in the direction that you need to be. All right, camera. These are some different options. Histogram, you can turn that on. Grid lines, I like the grid lines. You know, the rule of thirds grid lines just kind of help you line up the shots. Transmission signal, don't mess with that. And then about, this is just information app firmware and stuff. So if you need to update, you're going to go into that last setting there. All right, so tap on the film strip icon above the record button, and you can see the different video options. We're currently in video. You know, you can shoot in 4K, 2.7K, or 1080p, and then you can change the frame rate. 1080p gives you up to 60 frames a second. 4K and 2.7K only 30. Then the quick shot, you can take a look at the quick shots: Droney, Rocket, Circle, Helix, and then Boomerang. And then, to do a quick shot, get your camera centered on a subject, kind of draw a box with your finger,
2,
and then you just hit
1.
the go, and boom, this is a Droney in action. So this is a recorded view of what the Droney looks like. And again, you can kind of dictate how far away it goes from the subject. And if the subject moves a little bit, as long as it's close, it'll still even track it that way. When the Droney is done, you'll see in the upper left-hand corner, it will return to where it started. So the drone is returning home, and then you can go ahead and start, say another quick shot or recording. You can actually start controlling the drone on its way back. You don't have to wait for it to get all the way back to you if you don't want to. All right, so I'm going to look at some of the other quick shots here. I like Droney and Rocket are the two that I use a lot. Circle is nice. And then, we're going to do a Rocket here. You can go up to 250 feet. You can see some of the distances maybe a little bit different with the different modes. But again, the Rocket works the same way. I draw a box around my subject, and then I tap the button. Now you can see as I move around, it's still following me as it ascends. Again, the Rocket is a really cool shot. But it keeps that box tracked on the subject, so if it moves, now if you move super fast, it will lose you, but it will track a subject, moderately around the frame. You see as it gets higher, we're about 120 feet, it did lose me, right? It's a little too small. We're a little bit too high for that. So, just kind of keep that in mind. It's not going to track you the whole way, kind of depending on the shot and how far you go. Then again, once it's done, it'll just kind of return home. You can see warnings like this strong wind warning, the ones I got up there, also will appear in the upper left-hand corner. I'm not going to run through the Circle, the Helix, or the Boomerang for you, but let's take a look at the panoramic photos. Down there under the quick shot is the panel button. You have the sphere, the 180, and the wide angle photo. And these are all really neat. If you're trying to get a different perspective, there's something. Right now, it's taking a bunch of pictures for the sphere. So the sphere takes, gosh, I forget exactly how many pictures, but it takes a lot. And then it'll stitch them together for a really unique picture, an interactive picture where you can kind of look around. Now, you can't just take this and have it go. You actually have to render it in the app. And I'll show you how to render in the app. It's super simple. But it's literally just a matter of going to your album and clicking the download button, and then it'll download into that spherical picture. The same for the other versions of the Pano. So it's done taking the pictures. So this is the 360 photo. You can kind of move it around and look up and down, and it's definitely unique and different. You can kind of zoom in, zoom out, and then you get into that tiny little planet view if you want. Really kind of a cool, different sort of way to take a picture. Now we're going to look at the 180. Again, same thing. It's going to go around and take those pictures. You can see it's just kind of staying on that same horizon, just taking pictures in a bunch of different directions, and then it's going to stitch them together for another really cool elongated 180-degree picture. And then the wide angle, we'll do that one last. Same thing. It's just going to kind of do similar to the 180, but it's going to kind of get a bigger picture. So it's going to look both up and down and around. You can see as it takes the pictures, it tells you what percentage, and now we're done. So we're going to the app and stitch them together by just clicking the download button. Now we've been taking pictures, but we haven't been in photo mode, so we're going to switch to photo mode by just clicking the camera up at the top, and you can see we have single photos, EAB photos, and time photo. So I just clicked on the AEB, auto exposure bracketing. That means it's going to take 3 pictures when I push the shutter button. And that's important or useful when you're trying to take pictures of things at different exposure levels. So for example, a sunset, you can see the sun up there. it's going to be bright, and the sky's probably going to be overexposed, and then the foreground is going to be underexposed. So I click that, and I can take 3 pictures. Now, it will not merge them for you, but if you've got some software, you can put those 3 pictures together and kind of create one really nice picture. Otherwise, you just get 3 different pictures at 3 different exposures. Now, the EV at the bottom, you can change the exposure value. That's the how bright basically things are. There are also some menus that are just kind of exclusive to taking pictures. So now if you're in photo mode and you go back to camera, you'll get some other options, right? So format, JPEG or JPEG plus RAW. If you're really into color grading, you want to turn on RAW. Histogram and overexposure warning. I turn on the histogram, those are the lines, and the overexposure warning, you can see it's telling me those black and white lines that the sky is going to be overexposed. So that's just kind of helpful information if you're looking for that. Other things, size 4:3 or 16:9. I like to shoot in 16:9 because that's just kind of the aspect ratio of TVs and things like that. But a lot of people like to shoot in 4:3 because they feel you're using more of the sensor. All right, so let's talk about some of the other things you'll see on the screen, starting with the lower left-hand corner. We've got the height, that's how far it is off of the ground from your takeoff point. Distance, again, from your takeoff point. Then we got miles per hour. That's how, the first one is the vertical miles per hour, and the other one is horizontal. So you can see I'm moving at 22 miles an hour. In the center, and that's important because it shouldn't be moving that fast. In the center, that's kind of a directional, am I pointing the antennas in the correct direction? And I'm close. You kind of want that little arrow to kind of be in the middle. You're going to get the best range that way. Moving on over, it tells what shooting modes I'm in, exposure value, and things like that. Moving up, there's my gimbal control showing up on the screen as I adjust the gimbal. You can adjust it on the screen or with the wheel. Then we have the photo options, your shutter button. Moving up to the top, some other things important. See that little colored dial. It says 40. It's hard to read. 48. That's my battery percentage. That's how much battery I have left. And then next to that is an approximate number of minutes that I have left. So you can see it's kind of changing. It says I have about 9. It was fluctuating between 9 and 10. Now at 8.5. It's dropping pretty quickly as I'm fighting the wind. To the right of that, you'll see satellites, how many satellites I have, and how strong the signal is. Then you have those 3 dots that are, of course, your menu. We already talked about that. Moving left, you saw the little warning flash up. That's where your warnings are, strong wind warning. And then C mode. That is important and something that I failed to recognize. I flew it away from me moving pretty quick. In cinematic mode, or cine smooth mode, it shouldn't fly very fast at all. I thought I was in normal mode. Cine mode keeps it nice and slow. I actually did switch it here, and now I'm fighting the wind coming back home. So you're going to want to note that. And then in the center, that H with the arrow, that is your return to home button. So if you're getting in trouble, you lost sight of your drone, you don't know what's going on, you can hit it there. Or, of course, you have that button on your drone as well. And those mode switches from normal, cinematic, and speed or sport, that is also a switch in the middle of your remote. Make sure you know what mode you're flying in. Now, if you keep pushing your drone, eventually you're going to get a low battery warning. And I'm actually at the critical low battery warning, so it really, really wants me to land, and I'm actually not letting it. I keep pushing it. You see that battery warning in the upper left, and then on the right side, you see, I've got about 1.5 minutes before the battery is exhausted. So you definitely want to keep
critically
an
low
eye
battery
on both of those things. And when it gets to the low battery warning, bring it in, right? So it says 31-minute flight time. You're never going to fly 31 minutes. You're probably not going to fly more than 25, 26 minutes max. 20 minutes is probably where you want to be. And you can see it's going to land it, right? I get this low battery landing. It's going to automatically land this drone. It's not going to keep it
Critically
in the
low
air, and
battery.
it's not going to fall out of the sky, right? It's just going to go down and land automatically. But don't push it to that point. It's bad for the drone. It's bad for the battery, and it can be unsafe because if I was out over that pond, it would land in the pond.
Critically low battery.
Hopefully this was helpful. If it was, give us a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. If not, thumb it down and tell us what we need to do better. We do check the comments, so if you have a comment on this, please leave it down below. And if you haven't already checked us out on halfchrome.com, make sure you do so because we have everything from photography to FPV. Hey, good luck and happy flying.